Beer. For most of us, it's just a simple, refreshing drink. But what if I told you that this humble beverage is actually one of the most powerful forces in all of human history? That it literally helped build cities, pay for pyramids, and even drive scientific innovation? Okay, let's get into it, because the story of beer is not just about brewing, it's the story of civilization itself.
So to really get a grip on beer's impact, we have to start with today. We have to appreciate the sheer scale of it all, because it has come a long way from a simple grain porridge into this colossal global business. And get this, that number you're seeing, that's not the total size of the market. Oh no, that's just the projected growth, over $148 billion in just the next 4 years. This isn't just some popular drink, it's a massive economic engine that spans the entire planet. So how on earth did it get this big? Well, this map really paints a picture of just how widespread its influence is. I mean, from Europe to the Americas, Africa to Australia, beer is this shared cultural touchstone. Every single one of those blue-shaded countries has its own unique relationship with beer, its own traditions, its own tastes.
It's a fascinating question, right? How did that happen? To answer it, we have to go way back. I'm talking before cities, before writing, before even the wheel. We have to go back to a very happy accident.
Yeah, see, the story of beer doesn't start in some fancy brewery. It begins in a cave, with our semi-nomadic ancestors, and believe it or not, a forgotten meal.
Take a look at these. These are ancient stone mortars from a place called the Rakafet Cave in modern-day Israel, and they hold the earliest chemical evidence of brewing ever found. We're talking a staggering 13,000 years old. Archaeologists think that the Natufian people used this very site for ritual feasts, celebrating with a thick, beer-like gruel. And the really incredible part is that this probably wasn't an invention at all. It was a discovery. Just imagine someone leaving a pot of grain porridge out for a few days, wild yeasts, which are floating literally everywhere in the air, would have landed in it, started feasting on the sugars, and produced alcohol as a byproduct. The result? A bubbly, slightly intoxicating, and totally new kind of food. So here's the kicker, the part that might just blow your mind. Beer could be one of the main reasons we all settled down. This nutritious, calorie-rich, and mind-altering gruel was so valuable that it may have convinced our ancestors to stop wandering and actually start farming grains, just to make sure they had a steady supply. So think about that. Beer didn't just come from agriculture, it may have caused it. Okay, so as hunter-gatherers became farmers and villages grew into the first great cities, beer's role changed. It became a cornerstone of civilization itself. It wasn't just for feasts anymore. It was the fuel of empires. And these two images, they show you everything you need to know about its importance. On the left, that's a clay tablet from ancient Sumeria, about 4,000 years old. It's a receipt for beer. And on the right, that's an Egyptian model of a bakery and a brewery. And it was placed in a tomb to make sure the person who died would have bread and beer in the afterlife. It was part of their economy, their daily life, and even their spiritual beliefs.
It even shows up in the world's first great work of literature, the Epic of Gilgamesh. In the story, the wild man Enkidu is civilized not by laws or language, but by bread and beer. It's seen as this transformative thing that brings joy and turns a wild man into a member of society.
I mean, its uses were just staggering. In Mesopotamia, workers were literally paid in beer. The people who built the Great Pyramids of Giza, they got a daily ration of 4 to 5 liters to give them nutrition and hydration. And get this, ancient Nubians even brewed beer that contained tetracycline, effectively using it as an antibiotic. It was food, it was currency, it was medicine, and a social lubricant all rolled into one.
So for thousands of years, brewing was this local thing, something done at home, mostly by women, actually. But in the Middle Ages and beyond, 2 huge innovations were about to transform this domestic craft into a global industry.
The first game changer was a single ingredient, hops. See, before hops, brewers used a mix of herbs to flavor their ale, but that ale spoiled really fast. Hops, on the other hand, are a natural preservative. This one simple addition meant that beer, as we now call it, could survive long journeys. It went from being a local drink to an international commodity.
But even with hops, for centuries, brewing was still a hands-on, artisanal process. You can kind of see it in the 16th century woodcut, right? It's all done by hand on a pretty small scale. But all of that was about to change with the arrival of the Industrial Revolution. And suddenly, brewing went from an art to a science. The thermometer and hydrometer meant brewers could finally get precision and consistency. The drum roaster created brand new flavors and styles like porters and stouts. And maybe most important of all,
Louis Pasteur's discovery of yeast's role in fermentation gave brewers the power to control the whole process, preventing spoilage and guaranteeing a quality product every single time. This new scale really set the stage for the modern era. I mean, just compare this industrial bottling line from 1945 to that old woodcut we just saw. It's a completely different world. Science and technology made it possible to brew beer on a scale that was once unimaginable, and that paved the way for the massive global brands we all know today.
But the story doesn't end with mass production, not by a long shot. In the 20th century, especially over in the United States, the beer landscape would be completely reshaped. Not once, but twice.
So first, Prohibition came along and just decimated the industry. Thousands of small local breweries went out of business forever. And when it was finally repealed, a handful of giant corporations took over, and they focused on these mass-market, light-tasting lagers. For decades, choice and flavor just dwindled. And this chart, wow, it tells an amazing story of collapse and rebirth. You go from thousands of breweries before 1920, and the number just plummets to fewer than 100 by 1980. But then, a rebellion started brewing, literally. A craft beer revolution driven by home brewers and small entrepreneurs who were just tired of the same old thing. They brought back historic styles, they invented new ones, and they triggered this explosion of creativity that brought the number of breweries right back into the thousands.
So, from an accidental gruel in a Stone Age cave, to the currency of empires, to the subject of scientific breakthroughs, and finally to a symbol of modern creative rebellion, beer's history really is our history. It reflects our own journey from wanderers to city builders to innovators, and it proves that sometimes the smallest accidents can change the entire world. Which leaves us with just one final question to ponder. After 13,000 years, what on earth will beer's next chapter taste like?